Yeah. I hope
Uh,
my screen is visible to
yeah,
everyone.
it's visible. Oh, visible.
Okay. Okay.
Will you
So
please
a very good
continue?
afternoon to everyone. So myself, Pranav, I am a PhD scholar under the supervision of Professor Bhatnagar. And along with me, I have my two colleagues, Ashish Kant Shukla and Muskan Ahuja. So we will be jointly conducting this session. So in this particular session, we will be focusing on a few important concepts which were discussed by Professor Bhatnagar in the previous session. So the orientation would be different. Like this session is all about the MATLAB orientation. Whatever concepts Professor Bhatnagar discussed in the previous session. So we have taken some important communication concepts from that session, and we will be discussing those concepts from MATLAB orientation point of view. So let's start. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Right. Okay, thank you. So, so the first code we are, which I am going to discuss, it is an elementary communication system setup which we have considered. That is a single input, single output based setup. That is a CISO setup. So the heading it is given in the line itself that we are going to see a MATLAB implementation of bit error rate BER of CISO system. So for this CISO configuration, we have a single transmit antenna at the transmitter side, and we have a single receiver at the receiver side. And this bit error rate, which we call as, which we abbreviate it as BER, so it is one of the most important performance metric, which is used to characterize the performance of any communication system, be it RF, optical, or any other domain. So let's start with this session. So first, we will be using certain commands to implement the theoretical concepts in this MATLAB uh, session. So this CLC command, it is basically used to clear the screen. And the next command in the line number 3, we have clear all. So it will clear the workspace, like I have a workspace on my at the left hand side of my screen. So whatever will be there, it will clear all the previously executed results. So in line number 4, we consider the value of n to be 10 raised to power 6. That is the number of bits or symbols which we are interested in the transmission, right? So then we have the transmitter section. This is the preliminary part of any communication system, the transmitter. And in line number 8, we define a variable IP, which equals RAND, which is a command, rand. And in the parentheses, we have 1 comma n greater than 0.5. So please note that I have given certain comments also in order to, uh, for the sake of convenience of understanding. So this line number 8, which I have written, so this RAND command, it basically generates random values. So basically in MATLAB, we are doing the simulation. So we are generating some random values, and it will generate an array. This command rand 1 comma n, it will generate an array of dimension 1 cross n. So since n is 10 to the power 6, it is defined in line number 4. So there will be an array or vector of dimension 1 cross 10 to the power 6. So in MATLAB, whatever we perform, it is done in the form of a matrix or an array or a vector. So line number 8, we generate 0 or 1 with equiprobability. This greater than 0.5, it will generate 0 or 1 with equiprobable symbols. And in line number 9, we define our modulation scheme, what specific modulation scheme we are going to use. And we define a variable as equal to 2IP minus 1. And since IP is either 0 or 1, okay, the line number 8, it will generate either a 0 or a 1. So correspondingly, S will take a value as minus 1 or 1. So this constellation, it corresponds to a BPSK modulation scheme, binary phase shift key, wherein we have two possible symbols, 1 or minus 1. So we have defined our constellation from wherein either 1 or minus 1 will be transmitted, right? So then we have a variable n in line number 10. which is basically we are defining the noise, and we are considering it to be additive white Gaussian noise, which Professor Bhatnagar discussed in the previous session. So here, this is how we are generating the noise in MATLAB. So it is 1 by square root of 2 and RA and DN, because it has to be random. Whenever we are simulating anything, it has to be random. So this factor of 1 by square root 2, it comes because of this 0 dB variance. You can see the comment that we are generating a white Gaussian noise with 0 dB variance. So this factor 1 by square root of 2, it comes into account because of that. And this noise is of complex nature. See, this is some A plus iota B form, and it is of complex nature and random in nature, right? And we are interested in observing a plot, right? When we will simulate or execute this code, so the plot will be versus two parameters. One is the BER, as I already discussed. The other parameter is the SNR, signal to noise ratio. So in line number 11, we take a variable SNR underscore dB and define multiple values of SNR, right? From 0 to 10, right? So for these values of SNR, we will determine or simulate the BER in this MATLAB code. So in line number 12, please note that in line number 11, we have the SNR values in dB, right? So in order to get the absolute value of SNR in line number 12, we know how to get the absolute value when value of some parameter in dB is given. So in line number 12, we get the absolute value of SNR. It will be 10 raised to power SNR in dB by 10. Okay, all right. And then from here, we have a for loop because we will be having iterations corresponding to the SNR values, right? Whatever SNR values we have considered. For a specific value of SNR, for a particular value of SNR, there would be a particular average BR value. There would be a particular average bit error rate value. So in line number 15, we define the input-output IO relation with incorporating the additive Gaussian noise, AWGN noise. So we write the input-output relation for our considered single input, single output CISO communication system. So it is given as Y equals square root of SNR into the symbol S plus noise. Because when you receive the signal, you will have the transmitted symbol plus some noise. And these are already defined earlier. This S is defined earlier, noise is defined earlier, right? So this is the mathematical way of writing the theoretical equation in MATLAB. And once we have the received relation, right, and we will decode at the receiver side that what was transmitted actually by the transmitter. So we define a variable in line number 19, IP hat, and real part of Y, which is greater than 0. Because since with the addition of the noise, which is complex in nature, the received signal, it becomes complex in nature. But since the transmitted symbol, it is of a real value, so we are interested only in the real values of Y. So that's why this real command is used for fetching only the real part of Y. And it has to be positive, greater than 0, because S is positive, S is +1 or -1. Binary value, it is taking binary value. Because IP, let me go back, IP is either 0 or 1. And S is corresponds to a BPSK constellation symbol, which will have either 1 or -1 value. So 0 is mapped to -1 and 1 is mapped to 1. So now we will count the number of errors at the receiver side when we are receiving a particular symbol, when we are decoding a particular symbol. So we will see how many errors we are encountering at the receiver side. So in order to count the number of errors, see this I is running, the for loop is running for a particular SNR value, and we have n number of iterations. I mean, for different SNR values, this loop I will run, right? So what we are doing, this command, we have used two commands over here. You can see. let us first see the innermost one, the find command, find of IP minus IP hat. So IP is the transmitted symbol, right? This IP is the transmitted symbol. And IP hat, it is the decoded symbol or the estimated value at the receiver side, which we have decoded at the receiver. So when you take the difference of the two, if the difference, it comes out to be 0, it means both are same and there is no error. And if the difference comes out to be non-zero, it means both are different and there is an error. An error has occurred. And when the difference is non-zero, we are interested in that particular values only. So this find command, what it will do, that it will fetch all the non-zero values corresponding to this difference, and those non-zero values correspond to an error. That IP and IP hat, when they are different, we will have a non-zero value that corresponds to an error. And this size command, it will count the number of non-zero values in that array. Whatever, how many non-zero differences we have, non-zero values we have, those all those non-zero values, they correspond to an error, and we are interested in counting those non-zero values only. So for the sake of convenience, in line number 23, I have written the use of this command find of, in general, if you have find of x comma n, so it returns the first n indices. It returns the first n indices corresponding to the non-zero elements in X, right? So this is what the use of find command is. And then we have the size command. In general, if we are interested in finding the size of a comma some dimension, so it will return the length of the dimension. So basically, it will count the number of elements in that particular array or vector. It will return the length of that dimension. So this for loop ends. You can see this for loop was meant for the different SNR values, right? So for a particular SNR value, we are calculating, we are counting the number of errors, right? Now, in line number 27, what we do is, whatever errors we have counted, we divide it by the total number of symbols that were transmitted. And it corresponds to average simulated BR. So whatever errors we counted, we divide it by the total number of transmitted bits. So we get the average BER, right? And in line number 28, we have the analytical or theoretical derived expression. So we are talking about two cases. One is the simulated BR, which is the simulation is done in MATLAB. The other is the derived analytical expression on paper through the mathematics. So this expression was discussed by Professor Bhatnagar in the previous session. So both has to get matched when we will execute this code. So it verifies this theoretical BR and simulated BR. They are presented here only for the sake of verification that the simulation and the derived expression, if they are matched, if they are well matched, it means that our simulation and derived expression, analytical expression, both are correct. So in order to plot, now we are interested in to envision the plot corresponding to BR versus SNR. So there is a command semilogy, right? And in the parentheses, we have defined a few parameters like we are interested in observing a plot between SNR and BR, right? So first plot would be corresponding to the derived mathematical analytical BR, right? So this is the color of that particular curve, right? Blue, B denotes blue, and the line width of the curve is we have considered it to be 1.5, right? All these definitions are there in the library of MATLAB, and we are taking a marker size. There would be certain markers on the curve, which you will see when I will run this code, and we are taking its size to be 10. And similarly, we plot the simulated VR also, just like we used a command for plotting the analytical derived VR. We use another this line number 35 to plot the simulated BR. And axis we have defined, it is the range. So 0 to 10, it is x min to x max. On x-axis, the minimum value starts from 0 and it takes a maximum value of 10. On the y-axis, we have the maximum value as 0.1 and the minimum value as 10 to the power minus 5. So this is a format of writing how we define the axis. And to observe the grids in the figure, we have written this command grid on, like we have given some legend also, analytical BR, simulated BR. X level, it would be a certain label on the x-axis. We have this EBY not, which is basically SNR. It has to be SNR here. Okay, SNR in dB, and Y level is the BR. So we are observing a plot BR versus SNR, right? So let me run it. So you can see that this is the BR probability curve for BPSK modulation scheme. And this is the legend on the right hand side, wherein we have analytical BR curve and the simulated BR curve. And both are getting well matched. So it acknowledges the correctness of both the analytical BR and the simulated BR. So on the y-axis, we have the bit error rate BER, and on the x-axis, we have SNR, right? So next, I will discuss the case of beam forming, which nowadays has a vital role to play in 5G communications.
So show the program once.
Sorry, can you please?
The program again, please show the
Okay,
program.
which line? You have some query
Last,
related to.
plot.
Yes, please. In which line you have?
Come down. For plot.
In line number, can you please tell me the line number?
Plot last line, sir.
Last line. This 41 number.
These are all general MATLAB instructions, no?
Yeah. These are all there. Like if you define it, now there is help section. Just see my cursor. So if you have any you want to get clarification regarding specific commands, so you can go to help section here. Like I am typing something like RAMD. Okay, so you will get details of a corresponding command. So there is a help section in MATLAB. Like I have opened it for you. Can I move further to next code?
Excuse
Yes,
me.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you explain why we are using that real part in the receiver hard decoding?
Yeah, actually, see, when you receive a signal, so it incorporates the effect of noise as well, right? So since we have generated a noise of complex nature, right? See, you can see here. Fine. So noise is of complex nature. So when you receive the received signal, it will be having complex values. It will be complex value. But we are eliminating the effect of noise from the received signal because we are only interested in receiving the value of S, which is the transmitted symbol, right? So it has to be 1 or -1. So complex part we are not interested in because the transmitted symbol it is not having any complex part.
In place of BPSK, we can use any other digital model.
Yeah. This is basically we are illustrating how to simulate the concepts which Professor Bhatnagar discussed in the previous session in this MATLAB. Just
And one more question.
Yes.
Generally AWGN mean is taken to be 0 and variance is taken to be sigma square. Why we are taking 0 dB variance over here?
See, this is that you can vary. This is for the sake of just illustration. We have taken it to be unit variance. You know, normal distribution is mostly used. You understand? So
Right.
what is normal distribution? It is zero mean and unit variance. So we have
Right.
used a normal distribution based Gaussian noise.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
since we are time bound, let me move to the next code. So here comes the concept of beam forming. So here is the title in front of you, beamforming for 2x1 MISO system, multiple input, single output, with unity weights. Okay, so the concept of beamforming is all about the incorporating the effect of transmit weights. The transmitters, they have certain transmit power weights. So all that comes into picture in the term beamforming. So we have considered a MISO setup, multiple input, single output, based on two transmit antennas, okay, and a single receiver. So MISO configuration is used here. So all the initial commands are same. Okay, so firstly we are starting with the unity weights. When the weights, they take the value as unity, right? So first 5-6 lines, they have the common considerations which I discussed earlier, taking SNR values, the number of bits which we want to transmit, right? And taking the absolute value of SNR, right? Then coming to the transmitter section. So here is the, I have defined a variable X. So I am interested in generating the value of X, the symbol that I want to transmit. Okay. So I have used a command sign. Okay. Sign, and in the parentheses, I have RANDN of this. You are familiar. Okay. This, the inner part of this sign command. But what is the role of this sign command? So what will happen when you will execute this inner command, which I have this selected RANDN of one command, it will generate an array of size 1%. Okay, with randomly with positive as well as negative values. Okay, but what sign command will do, it will return the values as 1 or -1. If it is a positive value, it will return as 1, and if it is a negative value, it will return a sign of -1. So the sign command, it basically returns the sign of a complex or real value, right? So basically in line number 8, we are creating a modulation scheme like 1 or -1, what we are interested in transmitting. Okay, and then for 2x1 MISO system, we have two channel gains, right? Just like how we generated. Yes, please. So in line number 9 and line number 10, we are generating the channel coefficients, H1 and H2. Okay, so I think someone is having query, but his voice is not audible. So this H1 and H2, they are complex valued channel coefficients, right? And we are starting with a for loop. Like in the previous case, we took it from for the SNR, for the different SNR values. So we take a for loop for the SNR values. And since we are talking about the beamforming for unity weights, so we take W1 and W2 to be unity, right? We are taking the beamforming with unity weights, right? So E is the noise, as we generated it earlier, complex valued noise, right? And then similarly, we are writing the input output relation for the received signal for this case. And see, when we are, so here what we are doing, as Professor Bhatnagar discussed, that about the linear combining, how we combine the signals at the receiver. So this part is there, square root of SNR, but this part is newer for you. So this is W1 conjugate. Okay, W1 conjugate. This is the command to take conjugate of some, like, okay, W1 conjugate into H1, and then plus W2 conjugate into H2. So this is how we are linearly combining the signals at the receiver, right? And this X is the transmitted symbol plus E is the noise. And then we have this, the detection, ML detector for the decoding purpose, detection purpose. And this is this detector which Professor Bhatnagar discussed, which we have written here it again in MATLAB. So what it will do, it will find the distance of the transmitted symbol, the difference between the transmitted symbol. Okay, so this absolute is taking the modulus actually. This ABS will take the modulus. So this inner part, it is written from here. say if x equal to 1, you will get y minus square root of this thing. So that same thing has been written here. Because at the decoder, when you will decode x, it will take a value as 1 or minus 1. So if x equal to 1, you will get y minus square root of this thing. So which we have written here. Okay. The other possible value of x is minus 1. If x equal to minus 1, then you will get y plus square root of this part. And then we have this for loop for the decoding of the individual symbols 1 and minus 1. Okay. So A and B, they represent a value of some distance. And I have given a comment over here that this distance value, it has to be minimum for maximum likelihood decoding of a transmitted symbol. Likelihood means the probability that it is likely that it is very likely that this will be the transmitted symbol. So if AJ is greater than BJ, so it means this distance is more. So it means that minus 1 will be detected, because if we talk about the likelihoodness, then if this distance is greater, A, in this A, the symbol corresponds to x equal to 1. So it means minus 1 was transmitted. And the other case is the other possible symbol 1. So this is how we are writing the ML decoder in MATLAB, right? And then same, we are counting the number of errors like we did in the previous code. And this we have the expression for the derived analytical BR expression. It was shown by Professor Bhatnagar in the previous session. So again, we have two cases, the derived expression analytical BR and the simulated BR, right here. So size and find command, their role was discussed in the previous code. Okay. And then we are plotting them again. Okay. Like semilogic command, this I have illustrated earlier. So if I run it, okay, if I run it, so this kind of curve you will see. So it is a beamforming scheme for 2x1 setup. So let me move to the other case of beamforming for 2x1 setup, right? With proportional weights. Like in the previous case, in the last case, we considered the value of weights to be unity. So here we choose the weights, the value of the weights, they depend on the channel coefficients. So the weights are proportional to the channel coefficients. So let's see how the beamforming scheme will modify when we select the weights proportional to the channel coefficients. So starting with the first 7, 8, 9, this up to this part is same. Okay, like we discussed for beamforming with unity weights. And here we are defining W1 and W2. Please note that in the last case, W1 and W2, they were simply one unity. So here they are written in terms of the channel coefficients. Like you can see this particular slide. Okay, so this is how we are writing the value of the weights when they are dependent on the channel coefficients, right? So it is square root of some alpha. We consider alpha to be unity. Okay. And in the denominator, we have mod of h1 square plus mod of h2 square and into h1, right? So this expression is written over there. This is how we make selection of the weights when they are proportional to the channel gains, right? So it was discussed by Professor Bhatnagar. So it is written over here. So W1 and W2. Okay, this is square root. This is square root, and this is absolute ABS. It will take the absolute of h1 square, right? Absolute of h2 square. And then noise, we are generating noise, defining it by a variable E1. Okay, then similarly, we have the loop for the SNR values, right? And here it is the received signal, right? So IO relation, just like I discussed it for the last case. So we have a square root of SNR into H1 conjugate W1, okay, plus H2 W2 conjugate into X plus E1. So this is how we are linearly combining at the receiver side. This part is how we perform linear combining at the receiver, right? And now we will, if you substitute the value of W1 and W2, okay, from this line number 12 and 13, and if you do that, then you will see that you will get this absolute of H1 square plus absolute of H2 square with the consideration of unit norm, right? With the consideration of unit norm. Okay, because H1 conjugate, it will become mod of H1 square. And if you substitute here the value of W2, so H2 conjugate, it will become mod of H2 square, right? So that we have defined a variable here. That expression absolute of H1 square plus absolute of H2 square. Let it be denoted by H hat 1, right? And then similarly, we are decoding with the help of ML decoder at the receiver side. So the decoder is the same. It is exactly the same. Okay, we have the two possible symbols, -1 and 1. Okay, whichever this A and B, they corresponds to a certain distance value. Okay, so here, if you have X equal to 1 here, okay, X is either 1 or -1. If it is 1, you will get Y11 minus square root of this part. So which is written over here, right? If X takes a value of -1, then taking it on the other side, it becomes Y11 plus square root of this part, and which is written here. Okay. So this ML detector is based on the maximum likelihood distance. Okay. So whichever distance is minimum, that symbol would have a probability, will be more probable for the detection, right? So then again, we are counting the errors, same thing, size and find command, using size and find command. Okay. So OP underscore bits is the detected symbol, right? X is the transmitted symbol, and OP underscore bits, it is one of the detected symbols. So we will see the difference. Then find command will find the number of non-zero values, that those values, non-zero values, will correspond to an error, right? And size command will see how many non-zero elements are there in that particular array of non-zero values, right? So this is the analytical BR, which was discussed by Professor Bhatnagar. So this is a simulated BR, average BR. When you count the number of errors and you divide it by the by capital N, the total number of bits corresponding to the transmission, which is 10 to the power 6 in this particular case. And then again, we plot using the semi-logic command, right? The simulated and the analytical BR, right? So you just see this is the plot for the previous case when I took the beamforming weights to be unity. Let us see when I execute this code, when I select the weights proportional to the channel coefficients, how the performance will change. So I have considered two different scenarios of beamforming, when weights are taken unity and when weights are taken to be proportional to the channel coefficient. So here you can see this upper curve corresponds to the last case when we consider the beamforming weights to be unity, right? And when you select the weights in accordance to the knowledge of the channel coefficients, right? In accordance to the knowledge of the channel coefficients, the performance, BR performance, it enhances significantly, right? This is just see the, if you cut these two curves at a BR of 10 to the power -4, then approximately we have a SNR performance gain of around 12 dB, right? At 10 to the power -4. So this gap, so it shows that the beamforming weights, when you select them in accordance to the knowledge of the channel coefficients, the performance enhances significantly. Okay. So there is a significant improvement in the weight. So this lower curve, it corresponds to the beamforming scenario with the proportional beamforming weights. When you select the weights in accordance to the knowledge of the channel coefficients, and this upper red curve, it corresponds to the a simplistic beamforming scenario where you took the beamforming weights to be unity, right? So This I have covered a beamforming case of 2x1, and let me move to other case of beamforming for 4x1 setup, right? The entire code is same. What we want to observe is that when you increase the number of transmitters, right, at the transmitter, previous setup was 2x1 meso setup. So in this particular case, we are considering 4 transmitters at the transmitter side. So a 4x1 meso system, it is considered here. And again, we are selecting the weights proportional to the channel coefficients. So how we will observe. So here we have four transmitters. So we have generated 4 complex valued channel coefficients, right? And the transmitted symbol is same, BPSK constellation, right? So the weights would be 4 in count because we have 4 transmitter. So there would be 4 transmit par weights, beamforming weights corresponding to the 4 transmitters. So they are as I have highlighted here, W1, W2, W3 and W4. Okay. So they have been defined according to this WI. Okay. This Professor Bhatnagar discussed how we select the weights, right? You can find it in any standard book of MIMO wireless communication, that how the beamforming weights are selected. So this is the optimal selection of the particular transmit beamforming weight, right? So because of 4 transmitters, we have 4 beamforming weights here, right? The entire thing is same as we discussed in the last case of beamforming. So if I execute this code, so let me execute this code. This case corresponds to 4x1 beamforming scenario. So let us see how the performance. So you can see there is a further improvement or enhancement in the performance gain. This curve, the lowermost curve, this black curve, it corresponds to beamforming with proportional weights and 4x1 system, meso system. This middle curve, right? This middle curve, it corresponds to beamforming with proportional weights with 2 transmitters, right? And the uppermost curve, the red curve, it corresponds to beamforming with 2 transmitters, but weights are unity. They are not selected in accordance to the knowledge of the channel coefficients. They were simply considered to be unity. So we see that when you select the selection of the weights, they have a significant role in the performance of the system, right? So we have compared the 3 cases of beamforming with unity weights, this red curve, beamforming with proportional weights corresponding to 2x1 setup. Then this black curve, it corresponds to beamforming for a 4x1 setup with proportional weights. So if anyone has any query, he or she can please ask. Otherwise, I request my colleague Ashish Kant Shukla to continue further.
In all these techniques, we are taking modulation to be BPSK, right?
Yeah, because in order to have a fair comparison, like
Yeah,
we
that's
are
fine.
comparing.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But
So,
my question is, if I want to change the modulation technique to QPSK
okay.
or QAM, so how do I change that?
See, you need to see the constellation points. Like in QPSK, it is a quadrature phase shift key. So you will be having, say, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, 4 symbols, right? So you need to order accordingly define your modulation. You can check in the help section of MATLAB how to generate this QPSK based modulation. And there would be in phase and quadrature phase based signaling, right? If you see the QPSK modulation scheme, there we have a in phase and quadrature phase signal components. So you need to go to the basics of QPSK, and accordingly you can generate QPSK as well. Like if you take 4 PSK, QPSK is basically 4 PSK, right? So there you have to generate 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1, right? So there would be 4 possible cases, and at the receiver side you have to decode those 4 possible symbols. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, and 1, 1.
Sir, whether shall we do this program in Simulink platform?
No, no. If you see, if you want to implement in Simulink, okay, you need to type here Simulink in this command window. Okay, Simulink is all about making these. This is a MATLAB editor window, right? Wherein you write the code. Simulink is all about modeling. Okay, Simulink is all about modeling. You have to you will be using certain inbuilt blocks. Okay, there would be certain blocks. The overall
Is it
scenario
possible,
would
sir?
be.
Shall we do the same thing in
Yeah,
Silicon?
you can do it, but you need to check it. Means certain things they are there in the library of Simulink or not, right? Like
Okay,
in the
sir.
block,
Shall
in the
we?
block, yeah, in the
Uh,
block itself, there is a code behind that block. You understand? That's why it will, then only it will work, right?
Shall we get this coding program? Is it possible for reference?
Pardon?
Shall we get this programs for our reference?
You're asking us to share it with you.
Is it possible, sir?
We have to ask it to Professor Bhatnagar. If he agrees, then we will share it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And I request everyone to, there is a website, DSP log. You just Google it. You will find all these basic codes, like basic codes. This we have written on our own. But if you have any query related to MATLAB, you can Google DSP log, DSPLOG. You just type it on Google. You will get some basic codes of MATLAB for the sake of understanding. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, I request my colleague Ashish Khan Shukla to discuss the combining techniques. So I am stop sharing so that he can share his screen. I request Sir Godfrey to make Ashish as presenter.
Arju, please do that.
Sir, I am not co-host or host, so I am unable to do that. Pranav sir can do that, and Godfrey sir is also can do that because they are host and co-host.
So you do that, and I think okay, okay. You just call Dr. Wilfred and ask him to do that.
Okay, sir.
Ashish, I have made you presenter. You may kindly
No,
share your screen.
I'm make from other ID
Okay, okay, okay,
using this ID for audio only.
okay, okay, okay. Sir Godfrey, could you please?
So no, till then you can discuss the next code if possible.
Okay, okay, fair. Okay, let me.
Okay, you can discuss the MRT code.
Okay.
Once sir will make me
So
the co-host, I will.
Okay. I think Ashish, two devices simultaneously can't work, so it has to be a single device for sharing
Yeah, I
purpose.
have made Mr. Ashish the presenter.
Yeah, actually, he's using one device for the audio
Sir,
purpose and
actually, I'm using this device for audio only because my laptop voice is not clear from laptop, so I am using mobile phone for audio and laptop for presentation. So I messaged from that ID.
so dear all, let's discuss the maximal ratio transmission MRT. Okay. See, beamforming, the technique which I discussed earlier, it is used at the transmitter side. Okay. And MRT is a technique which we employ at the receiver side. Okay. So beamforming, we use it at the transmitter side. And MRT, it is a technique, maximal ratio transmission, which we employ at the receiver side. And the main objective of using this MRT scheme is to maximize the SNR. That's the overall game of this MRT scheme. So we are considering a 2x2 MIMO setup, right? So NT equal to NR equal to 2, where NT denotes the number of transmitters, right? And NR denotes the number of receivers. And this is a error vector. We have initialized it to be 0 because initially we have not done anything. So just we have initialized it to be with a null vector, right? So this open brackets parenthesis corresponds to a null vector. It is having nothing initially. So defining BPSK constellation, right? BPSK constellation, we have two possible symbols, 1 and -1, discussed earlier. Then for loop for SNR starts, right? And we are taking the error count. This is the error count which we are initializing. Initially it is 0, right? Just like we do in the C or C++ language, if some initialization is there. Okay, so similarly we are doing here in MATLAB also. So these are the number of bits or samples for which we are, or the number of iterations, right, for which we are interested in simulating this particular code. So let us generate H, right, the channel matrix of NR cross NT. Okay, so this is white Gaussian noise. Okay, the channel it incorporates the effect of white Gaussian noise, and we are generating it. So I have put up a comment here also that this command, it will generate an NR by NT matrix of white Gaussian noise, right, with 0 dB power, with 0 dB power. So this corresponds to 0 dB watt power, right? And this H is of complex nature. See, this is the format. If you go here in the help section of MATLAB, if you have any query related to any command in MATLAB code, you just go to help section, type in your query over there, like any command you want to search, like WGN, I'm interested. So you can click on it and details will be there in front of you, right? The syntax is there. So it is not anything rocket science I am discussing here. It is all there and defined in the library of MATLAB. Okay, only on practicing these things we come to know that how to use them, right? So if you have any query, you can go to help section and you can type your query over there. Like any command you want to get details related to that particular command, you just type it in the help section, you will get the corresponding details, like what is the format of using that command, right? So that's okay. So in line number 22, we perform singular value decomposition, which we call as SVD, right? So SVD of HH Hermitian. So I have given comment over here that what this command will do. So SVD of any general matrix A, it performs a singular value decomposition. Okay. So I will not go into what singular value decomposition is. It basically it is a decomposing a matrix A into this form, like I have written here, V into L into U Hermitian, where V and U are their identity matrix, and L is the diagonal matrix, which will consist the ordered eigenvalues of this matrix A, right? You can Google later on what is singular value decomposition. So based on this comment, so the SVD of any general matrix A, we have V into L into U Hermitian, right? So accordingly, by comparison in line number 24, we get U equal to U Hermitian, right? We get U equal to U Hermitian. And then we have a combining vector. Let me go to the slides which Professor Bhatnagar discussed. So MRT, I need to search. See, so this is the MRT, right? So this is the combining vector I'm talking about. So its dimension is 1 cross NR, right? So its dimension is 1 cross NR. So this was discussed by Professor Bhatnagar earlier, right? So this we will fetch from this generated U matrix, right? So here this U is of it will be of 2 cross 2 order because we are considering a 2 cross 2 MIMO setup. Okay. So taking the combining vector, since it is of 1 cross NR dimension, okay. So the first row of U will come in this V. This colon is basically nullifying the second row of this U. Okay. Okay. And then we are defining this MRT beamforming vector. Okay. So that MRT beamforming vector is here, right? This is the MRT beamforming vector. So we have written it in MATLAB, right? Using certain commands like this in the denominator, we have norm of VH. So this is how we write norm in MATLAB, NORM. This is the command to compute norm. Okay. So W, it is given in the slides itself. Okay. So we have written this W, MRT beamforming vector, right? And then comes the transmitted symbol X, which has to be there for the transmission purpose. So this RANDI of 2, this command, I have given comment over here. This, let's say in general, any RANDI of in parentheses, if we have any number, say IMAX. So what this command will do, that it will return a pseudo random scalar integer between 1 and IMAX. Okay. It will return a pseudo random scalar integer between 1 and IMAX. So for our case, we have IMAX as 2. We have taken IMAX as 2. So we will get 1 or 2 as the value. And that will be correspond to this variable const. So this is basically, this will create an array of 2 values. So const will refer to the index of that value, right? Because this const we have defined earlier. This is the BPSK constellation. So say if that inner part is 1, so you will get const of 1 will be as 1, const of 1 will be 1. If it returns a value as 2, then const of 2 will be minus 1. So we are generating 1 or minus 1 here in line number 30. And then following the same approach, we need to write the input-output relation with beamforming at the transmitter, right? So you can see that input-output relation, it is here. It equals YHWS. Earlier, there was no weight when we were discussing when I started with the SISO system, there was no incorporation of the transmit weights, right? Now we are taking beamforming into account. So the beamforming weight vector, it comes into the picture in the IO relation. All the transmitters at the transmitter, they are having certain transmit par weights, okay, in the form of a vector. So that the dimension of W is, it is of a complex nature of NT cross 1 corresponding to all the NT transmitters, right? So this is the IO relation, right? So this is the noise plus addition of noise. We have generated white Gaussian noise. Okay. Okay. And noise is generated as per this format, okay, of complex nature, right? So then we are combining. Then we are combining at the receiver side. So you can see we have, this is how we are combining. So this, you can see that when we are combining this, the combining vector, it has to multiply with the received signal, because then only we will be able to combine all the right? The signals received at the two receivers. So this is the combining vector V, which I discussed. It has to be multiplied with the received signal Y. So the equation modifies to this. So that's what we have written here, right? So this Y equal to the combining vector into this IO relation capital Y. Fine. And then performing the decoding at the receiver side, we have a decision variable defining some decision variable for the decoding purpose. We will compare it. Okay. So we have two symbols, right? 1 or -1. So we are running a for loop for the two iterations. Let's say for k equal to 1 to 2, right? We have two symbols, 1 and -1. So taking a for loop for the decoding of two symbols. So this decoding variable, so it is defined according to this received signal, right? Depending upon x takes a value 1 or -1, right? So this is the constellation const of k. So if k takes a value of 1, so it becomes const of 1. So const of 1 will be 1. Okay, just see the index. If k is equal to 2, so const of 2 will become -1, right? So when we store a data in MATLAB in the form of an array or vector, if we want to fetch some values, so we need to refer to their indices, right? So here the first index is 1, the second index is 2, and the corresponding values are 1 and -1. So that's how we are decoding it. So we compare, we make a decision. If this decoded, it will have some value, right? If it is less than this decision variable, 10 raised to power 99, okay, then the correct decision is there, right? And we define some variable x estimate. The estimated symbol, it is equal to const of k. So k, it can take a value 1 or 2. If it is 1, so const of 1 will be 1, as I have shown earlier. And if k is equal to 2, then const of 2 is equal to -1, right? So the possible, just writing the logic for the two possible symbols in the if and else form, right? If, well, just how we code in C language, right? So then we are counting the errors, right? Okay. There is a command, this nnz, right? What it will do, that it will count the number of non-zero values. Okay, this command nnz, it counts the number of non-zero elements in any array or vector stored in MATLAB. Okay, so x is the actual transmitted symbol, x estimated is the variable which we have defined here, is the decoded symbol. So when you take the difference of these two, right? So if difference is 0, it means both are same. There is no error. So if the difference is non-zero, it means both are different. There is some error, and we are interested in counting that error corresponding to non-zero value. So just counting the errors. Then this for loop is end corresponding to the 10 raised to power 4 iterations. And then this is the average BER. Okay, whatever errors you have counted, dividing it by the number of samples or bits, that is 10 raised to power 6, whatever we have considered here. So you get average BER. Okay, so this SNR loop ends here. Please note that for a specific value of SNR, we get a specific average BR value, right? So that's why the outer loop is of SNR and the inner loop is of the number of bits. Okay, corresponding to each value of SNR, you have this 10 raised to power 4, say, iterations or bits to be transmitted. So then you take average of all those transmitted bits, counting the number of errors and dividing it by the number of total transmitted bits, you get the average BR. And then we just plot it, right? The commands I have discussed. This is the command to get a logarithmic BR value, semi-logic. Okay. If you simply write plot, you will get a simple value of BR. So usually we write the BR in terms of 10 raised to power some exponent. So semi-logic, it will give a logarithmic value of BR, right? So if I run it, let's see what we get. This is a plot of the MRT scheme, right? So it has to be a waterfall kind of. It is not here. It is because it is not a CISO system. So we are using MRT at the receiver. So the trend of BR curve, it is a bit different as compared to what we have seen earlier, right? So this is how we implement MRT at the receiver. The main objective is to maximize the SNR at the receiver. We make use of combining vector at the receiver, okay, and utilizing the beamforming at the transmitter using the transmit per weights. So this is how we implemented the MRT scheme in MATLAB. So maybe I will request Ashish to present his part. So I have to stop sharing for that. Dear Ashish, I have made you presenter. You may kindly start with your presentation.
Okay, so I'm going to discuss two problems with all of you. First problem is to study the concept of MRC for 1x2 setup and then calculate the BER for the same setup and verify it with the analytical result. We have to take weights as H1 and H2. So here I am just giving a brief description of the things I am going to discuss. I am going to do in the MATLAB code. Firstly, I will generate a BPSK symbol. And after that, I will generate two relic channels, that is H1 and H2. Then I will generate two AWGN channel, that is noise, E1 and E2. And then I will transmit the symbol through these channels. And after that transmission of the symbol, I will apply the MRC. And then I will detect the received symbol using maximum likelihood detector. And after that, I will calculate the simulated BER. And after that, just like previous case, I will compare the simulated BER with the analytical one. Lab code. Here we MRC cross system. So firstly, this line number 2, you all know about it. Line number 2, you all know about it. And then in line number 3 is the number of symbols. We are taking a number of symbols as 10 to the power 6. And then after that, this first part of the code from line number 5 to line number 12, we are just discussing about the channels and the noise available, noise in the symbol. So firstly, this ES and not dB range of our SNR in dB. So it can be, I am taking it from 0 to 24 dB. You can change it from 15 dB up to 30 dB or 50 dB. Depend upon you. And then in line number 7, we are converting -1 1. Then in line number 9, we have generated the first symbol. You all know about the generation of symbols after getting into 3 codes. So there is nothing to discuss here how to generate a channel. S2 is the second channel because it is a 1 cross 2. So we are generating 2 channels. And similarly, since we are generating 2 channels, there will be 2 noises also. So E1 is the noise for first receiver, and E2 will be noise for the second receiver. Till now, I think everything is clear to everyone. Next is transmitting our symbol. This Y11 is the signal received at the first receiver. So it will be square root ES and not I into H1 into X, and we have also added a noise E1. Similarly, the second receiver will receive a symbol Y12 is equal to square root of ES and not I into S2 into S2 into X, and this E2 will be noise for the second receiver. Similarly, now since we are you have studied it in the theory portion that we have to combine the symbol. So we for combining we need some weight. So here we have defined weight as H1 for the first receiver and S2 for the second receiver. So the overall received symbol will be YH hat 1 is equal to conjugate of W11 into Y11 plus conjugate of W12 into Y12. You all have studied about this in the theory portion, which Mano sir has discussed in the slides also. So then you have also did how to we have in the denominator we require H hat 1. This is the overall channel for the system. So it will be absolute of H1 square plus absolute of S2 ka whole square. So this portion, this from line number 14 to line number 19, we have transmit our symbol. When we have received our symbol, and we have applied the combining also. So and in ML decoder, you all know about this 23 are doing. So we firstly y hat 1 minus square root es and not I into h hat 1 whole square b is equal to y hat 1 plus s and not I into h hat 1. You all know about these things. This you have Pranav has already discussed how these terms are working. So similarly, in the just like the previous cases, we have just like the previous cases, we have also performed the ML decoding over here from line number 24 to line number 31. We have just find out what our symbol is. Symbol, I mean the symbol that is received over here. So these are the basic things Pranav has already discussed, so I'm not going into detail about that. Then in line number 33, we are finding the number of errors in the system. So we are using a size command over here, and this find x minus op bits comma 2. This with the help of this command we are finding the number of errors occurring in the overall system. So then next is this analog BER. Professor Mano sir has discussed already about this analytical BER in the slides also. So it is coming from mathematical expressions only. So you can all go through the these are the available results. They are always in any standard textbook also, and sir has also discussed about it. Then this line number 39, we are just finding out the simulated BER. We are dividing the number of errors obtained from line number 33, and we have divided it from the total number of symbols. So we are getting the overall BER of the system. Then we are plotting this simulated BER, and then also the analytical BER, and we are just checking that our simulated BER is matching with our analytical BER or not. So I'm running this code. Since the number of samples are quite huge, so it might take time. So I'm on. And the result will come like this. So you can see that our analytical findings are matching our simulated ones. So which implies that the overall result is verified over here. So this is the code for maximum ratio combining. If anyone having any doubt, please let me know about it in any line or any command. If they are having any doubt, please let me know. Okay, so if everything is clear over here, so I should move on to next code, that is about generation of LMOT code. So our next problem is about generation of LMOT code, and we will transmit that LMOT code and then calculate the error. So the basic setup is also similar to this. Here we have taken n symbols. So we will we will generate an LMOT code matrix of dimension we are generating an LMOT code of matrix of dimension 2 cross n for where n is the number of symbols, and then we will generate a channel and noise just like the previous cases, and then we will transmit the overall symbol with LMOT code and then receiver. And here one extra task will be here, we will generate a equalization matrix for the overall system, and then we will perform the hard decoding, and with the help of that we will find out the error in the system. So let's go to the code. So then in line number 2, we are taking the number of bits or symbols. So here the number of symbols we have taken is 10 to the power 6. So and the next line is the SNR values, and these SNR values are in dB. So it will be from 0 to 25. Then we will switch to the loop, and in the loop you know about these command line number 8 and 9. We are just generating a BPSK modulation. Here we are using only BPSK modulation. You can use any standard modulation like QPSK or QAM. You have to just see how they are generated, and you can use them. Then from line number 11 to line number 14, we are just generating an LMOT STBC. So in line number 12, we have just obtained a zero matrix of dimension 2 cross n. So it's a S code matrix, which is a zero matrix of dimension 2 cross n. So it has all the elements 0, and later on we will start filling this matrix. So odd column of our matrix, that is 1, 3, 5 up to, and if let's assume we have 100 columns over here, so we are filling up to 99. So we are just using this command to to fill the odd elements. And this reshape command, what this reshape command is doing, this reshape command is reshaping this S matrix to 2 cross n by 2. So you can also check it using help what this command is doing just by going to this help on selection, and you can check what this command is doing. So basically this reshape command is doing is this is converting your S matrix to a 2 cross n by 2 matrix. So all the odd elements of our S code matrix will be filled by this term. Next is we have to fill the even columns also. So it will be after 2, 4, 6 and up to 100. If assume we have 100 columns, so it will be filled by this whole term. So I'm discussing same one by one what this command is, what every command over here is doing. This cron command is nothing but a Kronecker product. It is taking a Kronecker product, and Kronecker product is nothing but this is one matrix and this is another matrix. It is just multiplying these two matrices. With multiplication, I mean that it is taking all the products. That just as it's a 2 cross 2 matrix, so it will take all the combinations. So it is 1 cross n by 2 matrix, and it will multiply with all the elements will be multiplied by -1, and all the elements will be multiplied by 1, and it will form a overall matrix from that. Then you know about the reshape command. Since here BPSK symbol is used, so there is no need for conjugate. But if you are using a QPSK symbol, you need this conjugate command, because there will be an high phase also. And what this flip upward command is doing in document. So this flip upward command is doing, you can see that if you have one X matrix like this, then using flip command it will flip your matrix. That is, your last row will become first row and first row will become last row. And if it is you have 5 rows, then similarly second last row will become second row, and so on. So it generally flips your rows. So the even columns of your matrix will be filled by these elements. Then next is in line number 16 is just a generation of a channel, and in line number 17 we are just finding the modulus of your this channel. So using Kronecker products, and you can see your lecture notes, lecture class we have used over here. So how to find the HMOD for Almaty code. And then 19th we are just generating a noise, and then we are transmitting our symbol in line number 22. And similarly, similar like 17, line number 25 is also doing is finding the Y modulation of your received symbol. And this is your this Y mod 2 comma dash is doing what it is doing. It is forming your matrix of 2 cross whatever the column size of your this Y mod matrix. And this is your receiver part. And next is we will form the equalization matrix. So here also you will first initialize your equalization matrix. This is H equalization is the zeros. So you will form a 0 matrix of dimension 2 cross n, and then you will fill your H equivalent matrix, the odd columns of your matrix, by this element, and even column of your matrix is this one. You have done this exercise earlier also. Here also, just that we are not using 1 by square root of 2 over here. And then we are filling, we have formed a 1 cross n matrix over here of H equivalent is equal to conjugate uh, over here, and then this is the power of your H equivalent matrix. And so overall your decoded decoded element will be y hat is equal to this one. Line number 35 is giving the element received at the at your receiver part, and then you are using a hard decoding over here. So you know about the hard decoding, that you have to find the real part of y hat greater than 0, and so we are just doing that. IP hat is just finding out the real part of your y hat, which is greater than or less than 0, and depending on if it is greater than 0, then we take it as a correct answer. If it is less than 0, we take it. If you are transmitting 1, then we need it will be greater than 0, and if we are transmitting -1, we need it as a -1. So using that, we will find out the number of errors occurring in our system, and this is our 46 is our simulated BER result, and all the other are just for the bigger elements. So you all know from 48 to 53 command, you all know about this basic things. So let's run the code and wait for the result. Meanwhile, someone has asked about the generation of QPSK code. So for them, this code might help for QPSK. We have this type of scenario for QPSK. You have to generate QPSK can be termed as a scheme that is having two BSK symbols, one in the I channel and one in the Q channel. So we have generated two symbols over here, SI and AQ, and using that we are transmitting it, and in the end everything is same over here. You have to take two channels. For I channel you have to separately do the transmission and reception, and for the Q channel you have to similarly you have to do transmission and reception separately, and you have to check error for I channel and Q channel also separately. So this code might help those who are interested in finding how QPSK transmission will work for ML decoding. Taking time. So in the meanwhile, anyone having any query, please let me know. I think it is going very fast, but still we have to cover one more code, so to do it very fast. So still, if anyone having any query, please let me know. Okay, so now we have, I think we have got the code for simulated LMNT. So this is for the simulated LMNT code, and so it is, we are getting just as usual waterfall curve. So everything is, and still anyone having any doubt, we have 2 to 3 minutes for this session, and then I will give the then Pranav will take over. Anyone having any doubt regarding these two codes or any other code discussed earlier also, please let me know. Discuss the last code.
Ashish, can I start?
Yeah, you can discuss the last code, that is Mac,
Okay.
about Mac.
Okay. So towards the end of this session, we are going to discuss the one of the applications of LMOT STBC code, considering a multi-user MIMO scenario. So the block diagram representation of this two-user MIMO system, it is in front of you. You can see that we have two users at the transmitter side, user 1 and user 2. This slide, it was shown by Professor Manav Bhatnagar in the previous session. So you can see that both the users, they have two transmitters, right? And at the destination side, we have basically a base station, right? So base station, it employs M number of receive antennas. So we will take a specific value of M to illustrate the MATLAB implementation of this multi-user MIMO scenario, right? So let me shift to the MATLAB's editor window. So we are focusing on the MATLAB implementation of two-user Mac MIMO system. So the system description is something like I have listed 3 points, A, B, and C. So this is how I will define the proposed system based on this multi-user MIMO scenario. So there is an uplink two-user Mac-based MIMO system. The block diagram that I just showed here. So where each user, it is equipped with two transmit antennas, right? And at the destination side, we have a base station. Okay. And for this particular MATLAB illustration, we consider the number of receive antennas to be 2 in number. Okay. So we have 2 receive antennas at the receiver side. So in point number B, I mentioned that both users, they transmit LMOT code, just discussed by my colleague Ashish. So both the users, they are transmitting LMOT STBC code simultaneously to the base station. BS is the base station. And in point number C, I mentioned that it is assumed that both users, they share the same resource, that is the band of frequency they are utilizing for the transmission purpose. It is common for both the users. So there would be ample amount of interference in this transmission scenario. And further, it is assumed that their transmissions, they are perfectly synchronized, right, in time. So these are some points related to the system description, so that you can have a picture of what I am going to discuss in this particular code. So two users, each user having two transmit antennas. Both users, they are transmitting LMOT code, and they are utilizing the same frequency band, and their transmissions, they are perfectly synchronized. And if we move to the destination or the base station, we have we consider two number of receive antennas, right? So here we have the, as usual, the BPSK constellation, right? Defining a error vector as a null vector initially, for loop for SNR, initializing the error count to be 0 initially, and then the inner loop of for loop for the number of bits or samples we are interested in the transmission, right? So in line number 40, you can see that we are generating the LMT STBC for user one, right? So this is the structure of STBC, a particular LMT STBC code, right? So we have to generate these values S1 and S2, right? So this I have discussed earlier. So this command, this will generate 1 or -1, right? So S1, it takes a value of 1 or -1, and similarly we have S2. S2 will also take the similar generation. It follows the similar generation as I discussed for S1. So using these commands, so we will generate 1 or -1, right? So line number 15 and 16, we generate the values of S1 and S2 corresponding to BPSK constellation, and which eventually plugs in this matrix S, that is the LMT STBC code for user one, right? The same thing we do for the second user, right? The variables are different. We are defining some Z1 and Z2 variables, right? And because the LMT STBC code for the user 2 is something like this. Z1, Z2, that is a typical structure of LMT STBC code, right? Let me, if I can, okay, so you can, this is the, on the left hand side, this is the a particular typical LMT STBC structure, and we know that it is an orthogonal STBC. It is an orthogonal STBC. So this is the structure of LMT STBCs, and we are writing it in MATLAB and generating the values of these elements of the LMT code S1 and S2, right? And we consider these values to be based on BPSK constellation, that both S1 and S2 symbols, they take a value of 1 or -1. And then we generate the channel gain matrices for both user 1 and user 2. We define variable H1 and H2, right? A 2x2 scenario is considered, 2x2 MIMO scenario is considered. We have each user is having 2 transmitters, and the receiver side as well, we have 2 transmitters. So we are generating H1 and H2 here of complex nature with incorporating the effect of wide Gaussian noise and of 2x2 configuration. And then at the receiver side, the received data matrix. Okay, let me move to the presentation. So this is the received data which Manav sir discussed in the previous session. So at the in a 2 user based MIMO scenario, the received data, okay, it can be written as SK. It corresponds to the LMT STBC corresponding to user 1, and its corresponding the channel gain matrix, plus ZK is the LMT STBC code corresponding to user 2, and the corresponding channel matrix H2 for the user 2, and QK is it is an 2x2 AWGN noise matrix, right? So this received data, we are writing it in MATLAB. So this is how we have written it. Y equals S into H1 plus Z into H2 and plus the addition of noise. Okay, the AWGN noise. And in the next line, line number 27, there is another representation of Y.
Pranav,
Okay, the element 1. Yeah.
Pranav, please increase the font size. Some student is asking.
Okay, okay, okay. I hope it's quite visible now. There should not be any issue.
Yes,
Is it so? Okay, okay. So you can see that we have the received data matrix in a two-user Mac MIMO system. So in line number 27, I write y in, I give it another representation, writing its element separately, like y of 1, 1, right? And y of 2, 1, like you can see here. Just see this matrix y. So earlier it was written mathematically, now we are writing it in the form of a matrix. So separately we are writing its elements, just like you can see here. So since we are interested in dealing with a matrix, so just writing it in the form of a matrix. So this yt, it is a column vector representation actually. See, when you put a semicolon, you write a element, okay, in a MATLAB, and then you terminate it with a semicolon. It will switch to your next line. Okay, so this is what this y of t is basically a column vector, right? It's a column vector. So it's a column vector representation of line number 26, right? The reason is that this is what I am going to do. You can see that the received data, okay, at the receiver side corresponding to m number of receivers. We have two receive antennas. We have considered m as 2. So we are writing it in the form of this matrix form. So the received data, it has to be written in the form of a column vector, right? So just stacking the received values. Okay. So further we define some matrices AI and BIs, which contain the values of, you can see AI and BIs are defined here. So they take into account the values of channel coefficients corresponding to user 1 and user 2, right? So the matrices AIs and BIs, they are orthogonal in nature and they incorporate the values of channel coefficients corresponding to user 1 and user 2. Okay, so we write it in MATLAB. We see what is their theoretical consideration and we do it in MATLAB. So you can see we have defined A1, A2, B1, B2 because we have two users. Okay, so we define A1 and A2 corresponding to user 1 and B1 and B2 corresponding to user 2. Right. And as I mentioned earlier, that both the users, they are transmitting simultaneously. So the effect of interference, it's heavy in this particular transmission scenario. So to cope up with that interference, what we do is we generate a matrix D. So let me first show it to you theoretically on this slide. So this is a interference cancellation matrix D. Okay, so this has been designed. It's not like it has been designed through hit and trial, just to mathematically check does it cancels the interference of these two users. Okay, so we need to formulate it. So somebody tried and formulated it out in this fashion. That this D is an interference cancellation matrix that will separate out the interference of two users, because since both users, they are transmitting simultaneously utilizing the common resource, that is the same frequency band. So the interference, it is going to affect the performance significantly. So in order to minimize the effect of interference, we multiply the received data with this interference array processing cancellation matrix D. Okay, so firstly we write D, this matrix D in MATLAB. Okay, so which is written here. So this is how we write the identity matrix I, EY, E. So in MATLAB, we write the identity matrix as using this command, EY, E. So we have 2 cross 2 setup. So the order of this identity matrix is 2, right? So we have written it minus B1 into B2 Hermitian, and upon this we have this norm of B2 square, and which is equivalent to writing this trace of B2 Hermitian, right? So this D is a interference cancellation matrix that will minimize the effect of interference of the one user with respect to another at the receiver side. So in line number 34, you can see that I define a variable y of d and multiply this matrix D with y of t. So that is equivalent to saying that we are multiplying D with the received data, right? And when we do that, we get this matrix. That matrix is this one, the middle one, this one. A1 minus B1 B2 Hermitian by norm of B2 square into this matrix. It is you will get when you multiply the received data y with this interference cancellation matrix D. So at the right hand side, you will get this matrix A1 minus B1 B2 Hermitian into A2 by norm of B2 square. So we write it in MATLAB as shown here. HD equal to defines a variable HD, matrix HD, A1 minus B1 B2 Hermitian into A2 by trace of B2 B2 Hermitian by 2, right? And then we check because you know that anonymity STBC, it exploits the property of orthogonality. So this HD, it has to be orthogonal, and that means that you need to check this HD Hermitian. You need to determine HD Hermitian, and it has to be proportional to an identity matrix if it is orthogonal. So we define another variable ydn, and we take the conjugate of HD. HD is defined in line number 35, and we multiply it with this, the received data without interference cancellation. So this is the received data with interference cancellation. In line number 38, we have the received data with interference cancellation. Okay. And this is some part of that received data H equal to trace of HD Hermitian by 2. And then we start the decoding process that we discussed throughout this session, that we're defining a decision variable. Now what we will do, we will decode symbols one by one, right? We have two LMOT STBCs for user 1 and the other is for user 2, right? So we have one LMOT STBC, this Z matrix for user 2, the other is the S matrix corresponding to user 1, right? So we will decode them, right? So we will decode them. So you can see this is we have the received signal we have written. Firstly, what we do, we take the symbol S1. Okay. For the illustration purpose, we have shown here the symbol S1, the decoding corresponding to the symbol S1. And we mentioned that similarly, the decoding of other symbols can be done, right? So this is the logic of decoding a specific or a particular symbol, already discussed multiple times in this session, right? So then counting the errors, the count of errors, right? The estimated one, S1 is the decoded symbol or the estimated symbol at the receiver side, which you decode. And S1 is the actually transmitted symbol. And this command I told you earlier that it will count the number of non-zero elements in this difference. It will pick the array and will count the number of non-zero elements in that array. And then we have this error vector, which will basically we have the average BER, the number of errors that we have counted, and we divided by the number of samples or bits that we have transmitted. So this is the average BER, right? This ER is the average BER. It is a vector. It is an array containing the average BER values, right? And then we plot it. We plot it finally. So let me see if when I execute it, what kind of plot I see. Right. You please note that whenever you define the number of bits, this So like you see, you can see that towards the end or in this range of SNR 16 to 18, there is a kind of uneven behavior. This is only because of the number of samples we have taken. Because if I increase the value, this is 10 raised to power 4. Why I have kept it to be 10 raised to power 4? Because it takes less time. If I increase it to 10, say 10 times more, 10 raised to power 5, so it will take more time. So depending upon your configuration of your system, the PC, you can increase this value. So it should be around at least 10 raised to power 5. The curve would be more smoother, right? So better would be the averaging when you take a nominal value of this iterations. So I took it to be a fair value 10 raised to power 4 just to see the trend, right? Because it takes less time. If I take 10 raised to power 5, it will take some more time to show this plot. So this uneven behavior is only because of that, more number of iterations are needed. You can take the value of n to be 10 raised to power 5 to have a to observe a smoother trend of this curve, right? So this is what we discussed about the multi-user MIMO scenario based MATLAB illustration. And if you have any query in this particular code, so you can please ask me. Otherwise, we can end up with this session. Yes, I request everyone, if you have any query, you can ask me.